Hey, what is going on, guys? In this video today, we're going to be going over the best custom controller binds for every type of Fortnite player. That means we're going to be covering the best binds for non-claw, non-paddle players, controller with paddle players, and finally claw players. So no matter what kind of controller you use or how you hold the controller, this video will give the best binds for you. I like to do something similar to this every 4 to 6 months or so just to keep people updated, and since the meta for binds kind of changes from time to time, so that's the purpose of this, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's start this off with the best binds for non-claw, non-paddle players, and I actually want to share two separate bind options in this section, one that's a lot more traditional and probably easier to learn, but then the other one is going to be more optimal and better for Fortnite specifically, but it's likely going to take a lot more getting used to, and you'll see why when we get to it. So starting off with the more traditional set, which is a nice mix of simplicity and effectiveness, in the main section, the most important binds here are left stick edit, B/circle switch mode, A/X jump, Y/triangle toggle pickaxe, and then of course right stick for crouch. If you're just looking for some simple standard binds, it really doesn't get any better than this in the combat section. There really isn't another edit button that even comes close to being as effective as left stick, so if you don't play claw or use paddles, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage if you use anything other than that. For the build control section, honestly none of this is really important, and I almost never change any of it. Really the only bind here that used to be important was trap pick and place, because you wanted to be able to place down traps as fast as possible when someone jumped inside your box. But since traps haven't been in Fortnite for like a year at this point, the build control section is pretty irrelevant as a whole. And finally, getting into the edit control section, this is where you can sort of change things up a bit depending on preference. So the one thing that pretty much everybody's gonna have in common here is RT/R2 select. Some people use RB/R1 instead, but that's definitely very rare. But then when it comes to reset and confirm edit, you really see a ton of differentiation. Among the top players, I would say that the most common reset edit button is either right stick/R3 or RB/R1, and then the most common confirm edit button is LT/L2. However, when it comes to choosing LT/RB/LB/right stick for your confirm and reset, there really isn't going to be any wrong combination. For example, I personally use LT/L2 to reset and RB/R1 to confirm, and even though that isn't the most common combo by any means, it's worked really well for me and I've never really thought about switching. But now let's discuss the non-claw, non-paddle binds that are more optimized for Fortnite specifically. As I've said many times before, the biggest negative of playing Fortnite without claw or paddles is that you can't jump and aim at the same time. Your right thumb defaultly sits on and is responsible for moving R3/right thumbstick, but then whenever you want to jump in the middle of a fight, you need to bring that thumb off the thumbstick to press A. So the simplest way to fix this problem is to make your right stick button be jump and then move crouch to A/X. The positive here is fairly obvious. Now you're going to be able to jump and aim at the same time because you're never taking that thumb off the right thumbstick when you go to jump. The only real negative of this for Fortnite is that now crouching is going to be a bit more awkward, and you obviously can't crouch spam in fights if that's something you do a lot, but I think most people would agree that jumping is way more important, so it's a pretty worthwhile trade-off if you're willing to learn a whole new bind. The other negative though is that if you play a game that doesn't allow custom binds, which a lot of them don't, you're going to have a lot of built up muscle memory with using right stick to jump, so it's just going to make those games a lot less enjoyable to play probably. So there are definitely some trade-offs with both sets of non-claw, non-paddle binds. It really just comes down to whatever you want to do and whatever you value higher. So now that we covered non-claw, non-paddle binds, let's go over the best binds for players that use paddles. So first, I'm going to give the base binds, which are almost exactly the same as the non-claw, non-paddle ones, in case you also watch that section. Then we're going to talk about which buttons you should bind to your paddles. In the combat control section, it's pretty standard and straightforward. The most notable binds that we have here are left stick edit, B/circle switch mode, A/X jump, Y/triangle toggle pickaxe, and then right stick for crouch. This is pretty much the base binds that the majority of players use, with maybe one or two small things swapped. Then in the editing section, because the build control section really doesn't have anything important, you obviously want to use R2/RT to select the squares on edits, and then from there you can really use any combination of LT/RB/right thumbstick to reset and confirm edits. I just mentioned in the non-claw, non-paddle section that the most common combo, if I had to pick one, is probably right stick reset edit and then LT/L2 confirm edit. But again, as long as you stick to the 3 buttons I just named, there's really no way you can go wrong with any combination. Just pick whatever feels the most comfortable for you. So now for the paddles, if you're a 1 paddle player, it's really simple. You want to bind that 1 paddle to A/X for jump. Really no debate about it, by far the most important action to have bound to a paddle. If you're a 2 paddle player, I do A/X for jump and then B/circle for switch mode. Pulling out your building menu is something that you do a lot in fights, and just like taking your right thumb off of the thumbstick to press A when you don't have paddles, you need to take your thumb off the right thumbstick to click B/circle, which screws up your aim big time. So by binding that to a paddle, it pretty much entirely solves that problem. So those are by far the 2 most important buttons to bind to paddles, and it's why I think using 2 paddles is the best value that you can get. But if you do use 3 or 4, what most people will do is use those 2 extra paddles on edit and confirm edit. Definitely doesn't help as much as having jump and switch mode on paddles, but it does make it so that you can edit and confirm slightly faster than pushing in a thumbstick or LT/RB. So that covers the non-claw, non-paddle, and controller with paddles. So finally, let's go over the best binds for claw players. So claw binds can get a little wild depending on the type of claw being played, but these binds are going to be for right-hand claw players, since that's by far the most common type of claw played. So starting off in the combat control section, the important binds that we have here are A/X for jump, Y/triangle for edit, B/circle for switch mode, and then left stick/L3 for toggle pickaxe. Another option here would be switching edit and toggle pickaxe. I've seen a lot of claw players do it both ways, so it really just comes down to preference and what you feel more comfortable with. Then for the editing section, since there's really no important binds in the build mode section anyway, this part's actually pretty different than what I recommend for non-claw players. First off, you obviously want to select the squares for editing with RT/R2, but then it seems like the vast majority of claw players use B/circle to confirm edits and right stick/R3 to reset edits. Obviously, you can switch this if it feels uncomfortable for you, but it seems like most claw players agree that combination for reset and confirm is the best. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you watched the entire thing, be sure to let me know with a comment down in the comment section below. Let me know what custom controller binds you personally use, and also whether or not you like them or feel that you may need a change. Be sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, do whatever the heck you want, and I will catch you guys next time.